of 19th of June 2024. We have present Councillors Brogan, Archie Buchanan, Matthew Buchanan. We have apologies for Councillor Calicaise. We have present Councillors Convery. Don't see Councillor Cooper in the meeting. I'll just have a check. We don't have Councillor Cooper. We have present Councillor Cowan, Cowie, Devlin, Dewar. We don't have Councillor Fagan in the meeting. I'll just check if Councillor Faulkner's in the meeting. We don't have Councillor Faulkner either. We have apologies from Councillor Ferguson, and Councillor Toner is substituting. We have Councillors Fulton, Gowland in the meeting. I'll just check if Councillor Gray is present. We don't have Councillor Gray. We have present Councillor Lambie, and we don't have Councillor Lennon. We have present Councillors Lockhart, Mars, McCallan, McCreary, McLachlan, Ray, Shearer and Williams. And I'll hand back to the Chair. Thanks.
Thank you very much. So, first item on the agenda is declaration of interest. Any declarations? No. Next item is the minutes of the previous meeting. Is there? Sorry. Okay, Councillor Mars. Oh, yeah. Sorry, Councillor Mars, you did give me prior notice you were going to declare an interest. Please carry on.
Yes, no, it's fine. It's Confero is not the fastest to click on. Thank you. Yes, if I could declare an interest on item 8 on the basis of a close family connection to a contracted worker of Scottish Power. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much, Councillor Marsh. Minutes of the previous meeting, I'll move that as a correct record.
I'll second that.
Thank you very much. Is there any questions or comments from the minute? No. Okay. Monitoring items number 3 on the agenda, Housing and Technical Resources Workforce Monitoring, March and April 2024, and that's pages 17 to 24. Elaine Maxwell, please.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning, everyone. This is a standard workforce monitoring report to provide you all with an update on the employment information for the resource for the period of March and April 2024. As always, I'll outline some of the key points within the report. So you'll see it's section 4.1, which details the absence information for the resource, and that's backed up with the information at Appendix 1. The absence figure for the resource at April 24 was 6.1%, which was the same as the previous month in terms of March. But obviously, when we compare ourselves to April of last year, the figure has gone down just slightly by that 0.1%, although you will note that the April 24 figure is 0.9% higher than the council-wide figure. As always, just to confirm that our managers within the resource work closely with our personnel colleagues to ensure that we are providing the appropriate supports for all our employees to allow them to return to work at the earliest opportunity or provide the appropriate supports whilst they are off work. Section 4.2 outlines the occupational health information, again found in Appendix 2, and you'll see that there were 117 occupational health referrals made during that period, which is an increase of 7 when compared with the same period last year. And you'll see that the increase within there for this month, for this period, is around the physiotherapy referrals. There's been an increase there. Section 4.3 outlines the accidents and incidents, and there were 2 recorded within the resource for the period, which is a decrease of 5 when we look at the same period of last year. Section 4.4 outlines employee relations activity that's been ongoing, and you'll see that this shows that there was 1 disciplinary hearing held, no grievance hearings and no dignity at work complaints raised, and during that time there were no appeals heard by the appeals panel. Section 4.5 details the analysis of leavers and shows that there were 11 leavers during the period eligible for the exit interview, with 4 being carried out. And as always, we try and encourage participation in that process, but members are aware it is voluntary. Section 4.7 details the employees that have left the resource within the period, and you'll see that there were 23 employees with the appropriate FTE attached to that. Managers indicated that 21 will be replaced and 1 post been filled on a temporary basis, and 1 post was being planned to be removed for savings. Section 5 details the staffing watch information for the resource, and there was a decrease of 5 in the number of employees between the December 2023 figures to March 2024. So with that, I would refer committee back to section 2 within the report and ask you to approve the recommendation to note the employment information for March to April 2024. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Elaine. I'll move that recommendation.
And I'll second it.
Thank you very much. I've got Andrea Cowan. Andrea?
Thanks, Chair. Thanks very much for the report. I just wanted to ask just one wee question. The Employee Counselling Service, comparing it with last year, there were 12 referrals and this year there are none. I just wondered, is none or zero, is zero a sort of anomaly? Is that usual? Or I'm just wondering, 12 to 0 seems,
Thank you, Councillor Cowan. Yeah, that was one of the points that I had picked up and we spoke about it at pre-agenda. It's unusual for there to be none, for a period of time. I suppose to bear in mind it is only a 2-month period here and it's about what is recorded at that time. So it could be that a number of employees were already in the process, but actually it kind of is bucking the trend of what we have seen because we've seen that increase. So it's something I'm keeping an eye on just to make sure that the appropriate supports are going through. As you know, we do have quite a robust process in terms of our employee counselling service because as soon as someone goes off with a psychological condition and we know what our numbers are there, they are automatically spoken to by one of our employee support members of the team and pointed in the right direction. So I think it is very much an anomaly, but I am keeping an eye on it just to make sure that there's no issues there.
yeah, that's great. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Andrea. Councillor Shearer.
Thank you, Chair. Obviously, there is a great deal of support given to our workers and there's an expertise within that HR support. I was just wondering if we came across an issue which was beyond the assistance, is there the facility to bring in external support if required?
Thank you. I'm not quite sure what context you're meaning. So is this around the employee counselling? So if somebody needed expert assistance that can't be provided, PAM, our occupational health provider, have got quite a number of bespoke facilities that they can access and they can point individuals to quite tailored specialist. Now, it may be that within that context we can only go so far in what we provide, but certainly we have provided quite specialist in a very small number of cases, but we have done it. But we look at it on a case-by-case basis and it will depend on the circumstances, but it may be that we have to divert someone through through their own GP or through the NHS route. But absolutely we look at all of these cases and make sure that we're providing as much as we can within for South Lanarkshire Council.
Welcome. Councillor Condry.
No, very briefly, PAM's just like Salus. They've got support there, and they would bring in experts. Yeah.
Thank you. Anyone else on that? Item 4 on the agenda: Housing Technical Resource Plan Quarter 4 Progress Report 23 to 24, and that's in pages 25 to 54 in your papers. Cameron Mitchell, please.
Thanks very much, Chair. The purpose of this report is set out at section 1.1 is to provide the Quarter 4 progress report on the Housing and Technical Resources Plan for 2023-2024. Turning to background, 3.1 notes that the plan was approved by committee on the 31st of May 2023 and sets out the outcomes, measures and actions to be delivered by the resource for the financial year. At section 3.2 of the report, it notes that the important role the plan plays in performance management confirms it's been developed to reflect corporate structure for all resource plans. The main content of the report in terms of progress in 23-24 is noted in section 5 and highlights the progress against all measures, which is detailed in Appendix 2 fully. The table at 5.2 summarises progress to date using the corporate traffic lighting system and shows that of the 92 measures, 8 measures are complete, marked as blue, 65 are progressing in accordance with the plan, marked green. There's slight slippage in 2, which are marked amber, while 4 have been recorded as red, indicating major slippage. At section 5.3, there's a summary of the key resource achievements in the period, which are quite significant in many instances, which include a continued increase in supply of affordable housing with the delivery of 269 additional new houses. In terms of tenancy sustainment, 92.2% of new tenancies were sustained for more than a year against a target of 88%. For third point of success would be that 99% of reactive repairs were completed right first time. And finally, against an extremely challenging set of socio-economic circumstances, the percentage of rent collected increased to 99.5.1% at the end of the year. The table at 5.4 highlights the 4 measures which have been classified as red, with major slippage against timescale or shortfall against target, which are noted along with the reason for that categorisation. In summary, 3 of these red measures relate to homelessness and can be attributed to the extremely challenging operating context which prevails both locally and nationally in relation to homelessness, and which have been reported separately to this committee and to the Executive Committee in the year. The 3 measures are the percentage of housing options interventions where homelessness was prevented, where at year-end homelessness was prevented in only 60.8% of homeless cases against a target of 60%. The second red measure relates to the continued implementation of the Rapid Housing Plan, where that's not been able to progress as it should have in that context. And the third red measure in relation to homelessness is preventing and reducing homelessness for households where we've experienced reverses, a continuing reverse in key statistics in the year. The fourth red measure relates to the percentage of council housing stock meeting the Scottish Housing Quality Standard, with 83.6% of council stock meeting the standard against a target of 90%. The changes to the fire tolerable standard and requirements in relation to fixed electrical testing have continued to impact the SHQS. There has been progress in the year, and a robust programme of work is in place to address these issues, which has been monitored within the resource at the highest level. Section 5.5 of the report notes that Appendix 3 report outlines the measures that have changed from status from quarter 2 to quarter 4 and provides an explanation of these. These 4 all relate to the reds I've just highlighted. Finally, just in the terms of the recommendations, the committee is asked to approve the following recommendations. Firstly, that the Housing and Technical Resource Plan, quarter 4 progress report for 23-24, as summarised at paragraph 5.2 and attached as Appendix 2 of the report, be noted. That the key achievements made by the resource to date, as detailed in paragraph 5.3 of the report, be noted. Thirdly, that the areas for improvement and associated management actions, as detailed in paragraph 5.4 of the report, be noted. And fourth and finally, that the additional scrutiny of the change in measure status between quarter 2 and quarter 4, as summarised at paragraph 5 and detailed at appendix 3 of the report, is noted. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you, Callum. I'll move the recommendations that the 4 items are, that we note the 4 items. Recommendations, sorry.
And I'll second that.
Thank you very much. Is there any questions? Andrea Cowan.
Thanks.
Cowan, to give you a proper...
Thanks, Chair. So thanks very much, Cameron. I don't really have a question. I just want to congratulate the officers and staff, all the housing staff, given the circumstances that we've all been dealing with in the past 12 months. I think actually the fact that these red issues, if you like, are around homelessness, which is a national problem, and obviously I think given the circumstances that our housing department are coping reasonably well with that, in fact very well. So just wanted really to say well done, congratulations, and I'm also really pleased to see the buybacks increasing by a fair number. As we've discussed before, that's obviously the cheapest way to acquire additional stock. And in fact, I just referred a constituent of my own this week, and I'm glad to say that looks as though it'll probably go through. So it's definitely, I think, working well. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much for your kind words. That's appreciated, and I'm sure the officers do appreciate that as well. There is no other questions on that. Item 5 is items for decision. Housing and Technical Resource Plan 24 to 25, and that's page 55 to 80. Back to you again, Cameron, please.
Thanks again, Chair. The purpose of this report, detailed at section 1.1, is to seek approval for the Housing and Technical Resource Plan for 2024-2025. The background detailed at section 3, the report confirms that the draft resource plans for 24-25 have again been developed to reflect our corporate approach and and requirements, and secondly also confirms that the role the plan plays within the Council's wider performance framework. Section 3.7 highlights that subject to approval by the Housing and Technical Resources Committee, the report will be presented to the Executive Committee on the 26th of June 2024, along with other resource plans for the Council for noting. In terms of the Section 4, the report notes that the Resource Plan 24-25 is attached to Appendix 1, and if we turn to that appendix, Section 2 summarises some of the real context that's providing our focus for the year. Importantly, as you would understand, that would include improving the supply and availability of housing, addressing the continuing pressure in relation to homelessness, effectively managing income while supporting tenants to sustain their homes, continuing to plan investment to support a just transition to net zero targets, and preparing for the implementation of provisions in the housing bill that's currently making its way through Parliament. Section 4 of the plan sets out the key performance measures and high-level actions which will provide the focus in relation to addressing the points we're looking to take forward. In Section 4.2 of the report highlights that it has established a number of outcomes to support the delivery of the Connect measures. These are in Section 3 of the resource plan. And Section 4.3 of the report confirms the arrangements which are in place for reporting progress as a standard to the committee at Q2 and Q4. Turning to the recommendations, detailed at Section 2 of the report, the committee is asked to approve the following recommendations. Firstly, that the resource plan for 2024-25 attached Appendix 1 be approved. Secondly, that the resource plan 2024-25 be uploaded onto the Council's website following consideration by this committee. Thirdly, following committee approval, all resource plans will be presented to Executive Committee on 26 June 24 for noting. And finally, that the progress reports on the resource plan are provided at Q2 and Q4 to future meetings of the committee. Thanks very much.
Thank you again, Cameron. I'll move those recommendations.
And I'll second it.
Thank you very much. I see I've got Provost Cooper. Provost.
I'm sorry, Chair, I get thrown out at the last. I get thrown out at the last paper when I wanted to speak, but I wanted to congratulate the resource and the high performance that they're delivering, and that's overall, and that's only added to by this current report. The performance is excellent, and it's difficult times, and I think I'd want to convey to the staff my thanks for all the hard work they're putting in, and to yourself as chair, because it's a team effort. So thank you, everyone. You're doing an excellent job.
Again, thank you very much for the very kind words. I'm sure the officers appreciate the gesture. Thank you very much, Provost. Is there anyone else? No. Item 6 on the agenda, disposal of land at Eaglesham Road, Jackton, and that's pages 81 to 86. I'm going to ask Jerry McParland to take us through that one, please. Jerry.
Thank you, Chair. The purpose of this report is to seek approval for the disposal of the site currently held under option at Eaglesham Road, Jackton, to Cala Management Limited. The background is that the council own a site extending to 7.3 hectares at Eaglesham Road, which, following a marking exercise, is held under option by Cala for a 40-year period from December 2004. The land, which is shown in the attached plan, was an agricultural holding within the Greenbelt and was marketed by the council to protect future development value. The site was subsequently included in the East Kilbride Community Growth Area, and a consortium of owners, including Cala, entered into an agreement to provide the necessary infrastructure for the site and comply with the Section 75 obligations to achieve planning permission in principle. As part of the agreement, a number of affordable housing sites were identified, including an area within the option site itself. As a result, the area to be sold to Cala excludes this area and will be retained by the council for the future provision of affordable housing. As part of the agreement, Cala will provide an adoptable access and services to the boundary of the site to be retained by the council. As a landowner within the community growth area, the council is liable for a proportionate share of the enabling works required to bring the site forward. The total cost of these works is projected at £21.89 million, of which the SLC share is £2.52 million, with a substantial majority of these works having already been completed and paid for by Cala. As a part of this option, Cala have incurred these costs, and they are considered a valid deduction from the land value of the site, as without these enabling works, the land would not have being a consented residential site. There are still some provisional sums for a small number of future items within the enabling works, and should these works not proceed or cost less than the professional estimates, the missives will include an agreement to ensure that the Council will receive any additional sums not spent on these items. In addition to the enabling works, due to the difficult topography of the site, there are substantial site-specific abnormal development costs, mainly associated with non-standard foundations, earthworks and retention. These works have been costed at £5.79 million, and detailed evidence and engineering work reports for these costs were provided by CALA and were assessed by consultancy services, and it's been confirmed that the costs and rates submitted have been benchmarked and compared to current expected market rates and are in line with the figures we would expect to see for these elements of work, and the abnormal costs represent value for money. As a result, the gross land value of £9.75 million has been agreed, and following the deduction of the Council's share of the enabling works and site-specific costs, the residual value arrived at is £1.43 million. Following detailed negotiations, a provisional agreement has been reached for a price of £2.25 million, subject to ratification by the District Valuer of the principles of deductible costs adopted by the Council. I would therefore refer members back to recommendations in section 2 of the report and ask that the option site at Eaglesham Road, Jackton, extending to 6.21 hectares, be disposed to CALA Management Limited for the sum of £2.25 million, and in terms of the principal conditions contained in section 4 of this report, subject to the ratification by the District Valuer of the principles of deductible costs as detailed in paragraph 3.8. And also that the Executive Director of Housing and Technical Resources, in conjunction with the Head of Administration and Legal Services, be authorised to conclude all other matters pertaining to the disposal of the site and enter into the necessary legal agreements on terms which are in the best interests of the Council. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Jerry. I'll take questions before I move this one because it may generate some interest. Councillor Lambie.
Chair, just a couple of questions. First one is, when the development gets planning permission and eventually goes through, we would normally get developers' contributions to the local community. I just wonder if any part of that has been negotiated as part of the sale price, that just because you mentioned that a portion of the site will be left to the side for social development. Is that preempting the developers' contributions, or will that come later? And then the second question is just, it's a question I always have on these large value sites, is whether we as a council are taking any independent third party surveyor advice in terms of the business plans that the developers produce in terms of their costings. Just wonder how we are, how much additional professional oversight we maybe employ just to ensure we're extracting the most value for the taxpayer. Thanks.
Jerry, would you like to take that one?
Thank you very much. Yes, in answer to the first point, the consortium agreement allows for the Section 75 costs to be gained by the Council. In essence, there's a roof tax on each property, and in addition, the affordable housing pods have been identified and accommodated within the consortium agreement, including the one that sits within the option site. And secondly, there was full engineering reports supplied by CALA, which were internally assessed by our consultancy services. And in addition, that's why we're going to the District Valuer for ratification of the principles and comment on the scale of the costs associated, because clearly they are significant.
Okay, thank you. Provost Cooper.
Chair, I wondered if when this site is developed, Jerry, has there been any consideration given to the impact that it might have on our education provision in that area?
Jerry? Yeah.
Yes, thank you again for the question. Yes, in the East Kilbride community growth area, there has been a new primary school built as part of the overall arrangements.
And will that include a secondary provision?
I think the secondary provision has been accommodated within the overall provision of the site, and the accommodation within the secondary schools has been considered in the number of houses provided.
Can you determine at this point how many years it'll take to develop that provision? Are they going to do it, are they going to move on it, or will they be sitting on it for a while?
I don't have that information to hand. Certainly it's been consultations were taking place with the resources, including education, to make sure that the additional houses were accommodated within the school estate, but I couldn't be specific on the timescale.
Thanks, Jerry. Thank you, Chair.
Thanks, Provost. Councillor Gray.
Thank you, Chair. I have a question and a comment. My comment first is, I'm slightly worried. I appreciate it's part of the plan, but I'm slightly worried about the erosion of our green belt in that area. That used to be full of fields, and now all you're seeing is houses. I appreciate we need social housing, but my other question as well about the infrastructure is there going to be anything regarding local shops in that area? Because it's just one basically giant housing scheme. There doesn't seem to be anything else apart from the primary school, etc. Do we know that answer yet?
Jerry.
Yes, as part of the community growth area, there is a provision for some retail accommodation, and in addition, through the whole consortium agreement, there's planning gain, which offsets the sale of the green belt in the sense that it can be reinvested within other facilities throughout the town and the area.
Okay, thank you for that.
Thank you. Councillor Lockhart.
Thank you, Chair. I'd like to refer to page 81, 3.3. It's just something which crosses my mind. You're keeping aside an area, if you like, for affordable housing. And what I sort of wonder is if Cala is just going to build the houses that they're going to make the most profit out of, i.e. the main belt, and they're keeping the affordable housing till later. What incentive or what ability do we have to hold Cala to building the affordable housing? My view is they should be building affordable housing in parallel with the rest of the development. And I'm just wondering why you allow this to happen.
Jerry.
Thank you for the question again. The affordable housing sites were identified strategically throughout the whole community growth area, and the developers themselves aren't obliged to build the houses for us. What they'll do is they're obliged to provide land for the building of affordable housing. This site was identified as part of the planning, and what's agreed is that the Cala will put an access in and service to the site so that the council in the future can accommodate housing on the site rather than Cala building it.
Sorry, but who builds the affordable housing? I mean, all we've done is we've put aside some land, but affordable housing, to my mind, is somewhere down the line, and no one necessarily held to account to build it. I don't understand this.
Joanne Forbes.
Thank you, Chair. Councillor Lockhart, the site goes on to the council's ship, and the decisions on what we build there, when we build them, and the mix of housing we want on it rests with the council. So the planning provision and the planning obligation is for the developer to provide us with the land. It is not a planning obligation for them to build. We may make the choice we don't want to build there. We may make the choice we want to build somewhere else. So they provide the land, they provide the access, they provide us with a development site, and that then gets considered by our housing colleagues in terms of demand, mix and priorities. And then we decide what we want to do. So the control of the site is with the council. One option that we have used in the past is turnkey, where we do a deal with a developer to say, while you're on the site, please go ahead and build, because there can be economies of scale, but we don't automatically do that on every single location.
Does that address your concerns, Richard?
Yes, I suppose I have another question, if I may.
Okay, far on.
I always get slightly over-exercised by some of the new rules under NPF 4, one of which really does upset me enormously, which is this 20-minute rule. And big housing schemes like this that are developed almost in the middle of nowhere, there's absolutely no way, to my mind, that they are within, you know, what we could define as the 20-minute neighbourhood. And I wonder why, frankly, you put aside the rules when it comes to these big schemes, because I've been through lots of these places where there isn't a shop for miles, there are no bus services, there's nothing, and yet the 20-minute neighbourhood seems to dominate the thinking, if you like, under NPF 4.
I think that's really a matter for the planning committee, but I don't know if any Joanne or Jerry would care to comment or not. But I think planning covers that. Richard, you and I both on planning, and we've seen where NPF 4 has been an issue for lots of applications lately. Any Joanne or Jerry, Stephen?
No, I think you're right. I think it's a matter for the planning.
Yeah, it's been confirmed by the director. It's a matter for the planning committee, but thanks for your concerns.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Councillor Cowan.
Thanks, Chair. Can I just really clarifying this for myself, this land is being retained by the council and the services are being put in by Cala, which means it's good to go in terms of somebody building on it. So this particular piece of land would be quite valuable. It's, you know, it's a good area. It's probably worth a lot of money. So is it the case that the council, that housing may decide in the future to sell that land to a private developer and use the money to build affordable housing elsewhere? So that's an option. So the council's not obliged to actually build on this site. So just for my own, head, yeah.
Joanne, you want to answer that?
Yes, Councillor Cowan, that's correct. The land is the council's to decide what we wish to do with, and we will do an overall feasibility within the SHIP and decide what makes most sense, best value for the council.
Thank you very much. Okay, there are no more questions, so I'm going to move the recommendations on that report.
And I'll second it. Just checking my phone wasn't silent.
And has everyone agreed to that then? Agreed. Thank you very much. Councillor Convery's voice is always there to be heard. Item 7 on the agenda, 99-year ground lease at Hairmire Station, East Kilbride to South Lanarkshire Council. That's pages 87 to 92. Jeremy McParlin again, please.
Thank you, Chair. The purpose of this report is to seek approval to grant a 99-year lease and approve the grant of a right of access to the ground at Our Lady of Lourdes Primary School, East Kilbride, in favour of Scottish Power Energy Networks. The background is that Our Lady of Lourdes Primary School has been converted to run solely on electricity. Oh, sorry, apologies, I'm reading. Thank you.
They're both 99-year leases.
It's another 99-year lease. Apologies. The purpose of this report is definitely to advise the committee on the requirement of a 99-year ground lease at Hairmire Station, East Kilbride, from Network Rail, and seek approval to the principal terms and conditions set out in section 5 of the report. The background is that the subjects at Hairmire Station have been acquired by Network Rail to facilitate the construction of a transport interchange facility as part of the proposals to relocate Hairmire Station, which in turn are part of the East Kilbride Enhancement Scheme. The proposal is that the council will lease the ground extending to 5.3 hectares shown in the attached plan from Network Rail and construct or procure construction and operate the park and ride facility. The estimated project costs are £4.5 million and discussions are ongoing with Transport Scotland to secure this funding. So the proposal set out in section 5 of the report involves a lease from Network Rail for 99 years at a rental of £1 per annum. And discussions are ongoing between the council in relation to the specific provisions within the lease, as Network Rail are seeking the right to terminate lease at any time on giving 12 months' notice if the land is needed for any rail-related purposes supported by the Scottish Government. And in turn, the council is seeking a clawback arrangement to ensure that if Network Rail terminate lease within a period to be agreed, they would require to repay the council the funding invested by the council in the park and ride in a tapering scale. I would therefore ask members to refer back to the recommendations in section 2 of the report and ask that subject to confirmation of funding from Transport Scotland, the land at Hairmire Station, East Kilbride, be leased to South Lanarkshire Council, subject to headline terms and conditions contained in section 5, and that the Executive Director of Housing and Technical Resources, in consultation with the Head of Admin and Legal Services, be authorised to conclude all matters in respect of the lease and enter into the necessary legal agreements on terms which are in the best interests of the Council. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jerry. I'll move the two recommendations.
I'll second that.
Is there any questions or comments? I don't see any. All agreed? Thank you. Item 8, okay.
Councillor Mars to leave the meeting.
Yeah, I was just going to say that. Councillor, give some time for Councillor Mars to leave the meeting. Well done for stepping in there, John. Okay, thank you very much. Item 8 on the agenda, proposed lease of ground at Our Lady of Lourdes Primary School, East Kilbride, in favour of Scottish Power Energy Networks. And that's page 93 to 96. Jeremy McParlin again, please. Item 8 on the agenda.
Thank you, Chair. The purpose of this report is to seek approval to grant a 19-year lease and approve the grant of a right of access to the ground at Our Lady of Lourdes Primary School, East Kilbride, in favour of Scottish Power Energy Networks. The background is that Our Lady of Lourdes Primary School has been converted to run solely on electricity, and the replacement of gas-fired boilers and installation of air source heat pumps requires an increased electrical supply. These measures will reduce carbon emissions from the school energy use. And as a result of the new technologies, the existing electricity supply is insufficient for the refurbished school, and a new substation is required. The substation requires to be constructed on ground extending to 25 square metres or thereby shown in the attached plan, which is owned by the Council. And Scottish Power are seeking a 99-year lease to allow for the construction of a substation and associated cabling. The proposal is set out in section 5 of the report and involves a lease to Scottish Power for 99 years at a rental of £1 per annum, as the substation is exclusively to service the primary school. And I would therefore refer members back to recommendations in section 2 of the report and ask that a 99-year lease of ground at the Lady Lourdes Primary School is granted to Scottish Power Energy Networks on the main terms and conditions outlined in section 4. That consent is granted to Scottish Power to construct a substation, and all necessary rights are granted to maintain the substation and associated cables, and that the Executive Director of Housing and Technical Resources, in consultation with Head of Admin and Legal Services, be authorised to conclude all matters in respect of the grant of lease and to enter into necessary legal agreements on terms which are in the best interests of the Council. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jerry. I'll move the recommendations.
And I'll second it.
Thank you very much. Is there any questions? Councillor Lambie?
Thanks, Chair. Just a quick one. I mean, 99 years is quite a long time. I'm just thinking most schools have got a lifespan 30 to 40 odd years. And quite often when we build a new primary school, we don't build it on the same site, we build it somewhere else. So I'm just wondering if the 99-year lease might stymie that site if we ever had to offload it later to a housing supply or whatever. I just wondered if that had been considered. Thanks.
Jerry?
Thank you. The 99-year term is a standard one for construction of substations. However, your point is right, and if in the future we had to sell the site, there would be a negotiation with Scottish Power to remove it or use it for the alternative development.
Okay. Thank you very much. I don't have any other questions. Thank you. Item 9 on the agenda is... Sorry? Sorry?
Councillor Mars.
Oh, wait for Councillor Mars to come in. Thank you. Thank you very much. Welcome back, Councillor Marsh. Item 9 on the agenda is an item for noting. It's a delegated authority report, pages 97 to 100. And if there's any questions, Joanne Forbes will answer those. Is there any questions to that? I don't propose going through the whole report. It's for noting. Can we agree that report? Hang on. Councillor Lockhart has got a question. Who wants to speak?
Yes, please. Thank you, Chair. Just a point on delegated authority. Delegated authority, essentially, I quite understand the reasons for it and the need for it, but I sometimes wonder, if you like, what power elected members have to investigate the decisions made by officers under the delegated authority rules, because for my money, I don't think they really see the light of day with elected members when it falls under delegated authority. And I'm just wondering what controls or provisions there are, if you like, for elected members to get involved in some of the decisions made under delegated authority. Thank you.
I think the clue is in the title, delegated authority. We delegate authority to officials to do that, and there's parameters in which they deal with that. So that's my interpretation of it, but I'm sure Joanne will clarify for me, please.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Councillor Lockhart. The Chair's correct in that these are delegated powers through the standing orders to the officers, but in order for there to be a degree of transparency about that, we advertise or publish on the intranet to elected members any transactions we're doing on a weekly list on the intranet, so councillors can see. And if there are any questions, please always feel free to contact the officer, and they can tell you more about the individual transactions.
So it's as transparent as can be for anybody who wants to ask questions, but could imagine the difficulty if every small decision had to be run past councillors. We would have very, very long committee cycles and various other different meetings where we need to be agreeing to things. So does that explain it to you, Richard?
Yes, I'm happy with that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Item 10 on the agenda is urgent business, of which I have none. However, I have got some remarks I'd like to make. For those of you who don't know, Joanne Forbes, our Head of Property Services, this is our last meeting today. She's leaving us, I think, in August at some point. So this is the last time we'll have the opportunity to see Joanne. Now, I know people maybe want to say, say their nice gestures to her. However, I've got something, I've got a list here that might just embarrass you just a little bit. Nonetheless. So, Joanne studied Land Economics BSc at Paisley College of Technology from 1980 to 1984. She completed 1 year of vocational training with Strathclyde Regional Council Estates Department from 82 to 83. Applied to work with the Hamilton District Council on the 8th of May 1984 after reading about the position in the Glasgow Herald. The Glasgow Herald, that takes us back a bit, doesn't it? Interests on application were Rotaract Club, learning to play the guitar and badminton. Commenced employment with Hamilton District Council on 25th of June 1984 as a trainee estate surveyor. 1st of October 1985, on receiving the full qualifications of the RICS, was appointed as Estates Surveyor, ATV. 27th of June 1990, commenced the post of Principal Estates Surveyor. On the 10th of September 1092, I'm assuming that's 1992, attended Diploma in Management course at Bell College. 1st of August 1993, moved to the post of Land and Property Manager in the Planning and Environmental Division. Review of structure matched to the post of Section Leader from 1st of April 1997. On the 24th of August 1998, attended Foundation module. 19th of August 2002, commenced post of Manager, Asset Management and Projects. Moved to Property Services within Housing and Technical Resources from the 23rd September 2011 in the post of Business Support and Property Information Manager, commencing the post of Head of Property Services, which he's currently doing at the moment, on the 4th of April 2022. Quite a background here, quite a history, and for me, it's a huge loss to us, but with that amount of experience that you have, Joanne, we're certainly going to miss that. Whoever replaces you have got big boots to fill, I would suggest. And you've picked a hell of a time to go with two master plans. But anyway, you know, you made your decision and we're all happy for you and we wish you all the very best, whatever you do. So I would like to just show my appreciation in the normal way, and if anybody would like to join me, thank you very much, Joanne. Andrea Cowan.
Thanks, thanks, Chair. I just echo everything that you've said, and certainly in the past 2 years, Joanne's been a great help to me, so thank you on a personal level. That long list of study paid off and dated all of us, I hate to say. I was thinking, what was I doing in 1984? Anyway, that dated us all. And I wish I'd known as I brought a guitar, you could have given us a rendition as you wave farewell. So thanks very much, Joanne. On behalf of the SNP group, you've been a great help. Thanks.
Thank you. Provost.
Thank Joanne. It's been a pleasure to work with you over the years. You've got a nice nature and a nice way of dealing with people, and that makes a difference. We come through a few turmoils up in Straven regarding the John Hastie Museum, but we come through it, Joanne, and survived it, and onwards and upwards for yourself. You've contributed a lot to South Lanarkshire Council, and as Davy said, your knowledge and skills will be greatly missed. But personally and on behalf of the administration, I wish you all the very best, Joanne, in whatever you're going to be doing. And if you're ever looking for something to occupy your time, I can offer you a slot in the forthcoming concerts for the Touch of Life Make a Difference. So just keep in touch, Joanne, and take care and enjoy your new life ahead of you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Joanne, would you like to say anything? Maybe I'm putting you in the spot here. It'd be nice if you could respond.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you everyone for your very kind comments. And thank you for dating me so effectively, because anyone who remembers Bell College will realise just how long I've worked for the council. I have been here for 4 decades, and an awful lot more than just my job title has changed in those 40 years. But the underlying thing is it has been a privilege to work with excellent colleagues and with elected members to deliver services to our local communities in South Lanarkshire. And when I compare my career to those of fellow students from 1980 who all went into the private sector because that was seen to be the place to be, I've had a very fulfilling and challenging but excellent career, and I thank everyone for their support in those years, and I wish you all the very, very best for the future. Thank you.
Thank you. So on that cheery note, we'll draw the meeting to a close, so thank you everyone for your attendance, and especially Joanne. End of an era, eh?
I know.
Quite a